They walked down a dirt path that led to a big house which didn't really match well with the environment. All white stone and wood and big windows, almost like a Frank Lloyd Wright design. "Now remember," said Uridian, "don't break the rules. No fighting, no drawing weapons, and don't make any comments about the boss's appearance." "Why? What does he look like?" Percy asked. Before Uridian could reply, a new voice said, "Welcome to the Triple G Ranch." The man on the porch had a normal head, which was a relief. He had tan skin, silk black hair, and a thin mustache. He smiled, but his smile wasn't friendly. But the weird part of him was that his body had 3 torsos. Each of them had their own western shirt. And in the collars of his other 2 shirts, Percy couldn't tell if they were bumpy shoulders or maybe he had 2 other heads that had been cut off. The sight of it looked disturbing either way. Maybe he'd been recently attacked and his other 2 heads were taking really long to regenerate. "Say hello to Mr. Garion," said Uridian. Hi," said Percy. Nice ranch you have." Before the 3-bodied man could reply, Nico came out of the house and onto the porch. "You!" "Oh, put that thing away, Mr. D'Angelo," Garion demanded. "I ain't gonna have my guests killing each other." "But that's..." "Percy Jackson," Garion said, "and Annabeth Chase, and a couple of nymphs." Nico's voice trembled with rage. "They let my sister die! They're here to kill me!" "That's not true, Nico," Percy told him. "What happened to Bianca was..." "Don't speak her name! You're not worthy to even talk about her." "Wait a second," Annabeth said, pointing to Garion. "How do you know our names?" "I make it my business to keep informed, darling," Garion said. "Everybody pops into the ranch from time to time. Everyone needs something from old Garion. Now, Mr. D'Angelo, why don't you put that sword away before I have Uridian take it from you?" Nico hesitated. His eyes were dark and full of hate as he looked at Percy. He was too young to look so angry. "If you come near me, Percy, I'll summon help. I promise you don't want to meet my helpers." "I believe you," Percy said. "There now, we've all made nice," said Garion. "Now come along, folks. I want to give you a tour of the ranch." Garion guided them over to one of those kiddie trains. "We have a huge operation here, as you could see," Garion boasted. "We provide mostly cattle, but we also include horses, hippolectrians, and all sorts of big exotic varieties too. Now over here we have our fire-breathing horses. They're breeded for war, naturally." What war?" Percy asked. Garion ignored the question. "You sure had a lot of red cattle back there," Rover said. "Yes, well, Apollo's too busy to see them," Garion explained, "so he leaves them in our care. We breed them vigorously because there's such a demand." "For what?" Percy asked. "Meat, of course," Garion answered. "Armies have to eat." "You killed the sacred cows of the sun god for hamburger meat?" Grover said. "That's against the ancient laws." "Oh, don't get so worked up, Satyr. They're just animals." "Just animals?" "Yeah, and if Apollo cared, I'm sure he would tell us." "If he knew," Percy muttered. "Enough!" Nico shouted. "I don't have time for this, Garion, and I don't even care. We have business to discuss." "All in good time, Mr. D'Angelo. Now look over here." They passed huge wired cages, which contained giant scorpions. They reminded Percy of the ones they fought in the camp games. That made him wonder, what if this is where Quintus got them from? Did a man named Quintus ever come here to buy scorpions? He asked Garion. Quintus? Garion asked. Middle-aged man, muscular, gray hair? Yeah. Never heard of him. Now, coming around this hill are my prized stables. You must see them. They didn't need to see them, because they could easily smell them from around the hill. On the other side of the hill, they saw a huge horse corral next to a river. The whole place was infested with disgusting muck. And by muck, it was horse poop. It was the most disgusting thing they'd ever seen. Like a poop blizzard had come through and dumped 4 feet of the stuff overnight. It reeked like you wouldn't believe, worse than the garbage boats on the East River. Even Nico gagged. What is that? He asked. My stables, Garion said. Well, actually, they belong to Aegis, but we watch over them for a small monthly fee. Ain't they lovely? They're disgusting, said Annabeth. How can you keep animals like that? Grover said. Y'all are getting on my nerves now, Garion said. These are flesh-eating horses, see? They lack these conditions. Plus you do cheap to have them clean, Iridian said. Quiet, Garion snapped. All right, perhaps the stables are a bit challenging to clean. Perhaps they do make me nauseous when the wind blows the wrong way, but so what? My clients still pay me well. What clients? Percy demanded. Oh, you'd be surprised how many people will pay for a flesh-eating horse. They make great garbage disposals, wonderful way to terrify your enemies, and great at birthday parties. People rent them out all the time. You're a monster, said Annabeth. What gave it away? Was it the 3 bodies? You have to let these animals go, Grover said. It's just not right. And the clients you keep talking about, said Annabeth. You work for Kronos, don't you? You're supplying his army with horses, food, whatever they need. Garion turned off the engine and said, I work for anyone with gold, young lady. I'm a businessman, and I'll sell anything I have to offer. Nico stormed over to Garion. Hey, I came here for business, Garion, Nico said, and you haven't answered me. My ghost told me you could help me. He said you could guide me to the soul I need. Wait a second, Percy said. I thought I was the soul you wanted. Nico looked at him like he was crazy. You? Why would I want you? Bianca's soul is worth 1,000 of yours. Now can you help me, Garion, or not? Oh, I can imagine I could, Garion said. Where is your ghost friend anyway? Nico looked uneasy. He can't form in broad daylight. It's hard for him, but he's around here somewhere. Garion smiled. I'm sure Minos likes to disappear in difficult times. Minos? Percy asked. You mean that evil king? That's the ghost who's been giving you advice? It's none of your business, Percy, Nico said. Then he turned back to Garion. And what do you mean, things getting difficult? Well, the truth is, Lucas Talon is offering good money for half-bloods, and I'm sure he'll pay a pretty good price for you, once he learns how powerful you are, that is. Nico drew his sword, but Iridian knocked it out of his hand. Before Percy could get up, Orthus pounced on his chest and growled. Unless any of you want Orthus to bite Mr. Jackson's throat out, I'd stay seated if I were any of you, Garion warned. Now, Iridian, if you would be so kind to secure Nico. Do I have to? He asked. Yes, you fool. He wrapped a rope around Nico like wrangling a cow. Well, Garion said cheerfully, now that we've had the tour, let's go back to the lodge, have some lunch, and send an iris message to our friends in the Titan army. You fiend! Annabeth cried. Oh, don't worry, my dear. I don't really interfere with quests, but y'all be free to go once I've delivered Mr. D'Angelo. Besides, I've been paid well to give you a safe passage, which I'm afraid does not include Mr. D'Angelo. Paid by whom? Annabeth said. What do you mean? Never mind that. Now, let's be off, shall we? Wait, Percy said. Orthus growled, but Percy stayed perfectly still so he wouldn't tear out his throat. Garion, you said you're a businessman. Make me a deal. Why should I? He asked. You got nothing I want. You could make him clean the stables, Iridian suggested innocently. I'll do it, Percy said, and if I fail, you get all of us. Trade us all to Luke for gold. Assuming the horses don't eat you, Garion said. Either way you get my brains, Percy said, but if I succeed, you've got to let us all go, including Nico. Forget that last part, Nico screamed. I don't need any favors, and I don't need your help. Garion chuckled. Oh, Percy Jackson, those stables haven't been cleaned in centuries. Though it's true I might be able to make more stable space if all that manure was cleared away. So what do you've got to lose? The rancher hesitated. All right, I'll accept your offer, but you get it done by sunset. If you fail, your friends get sold, and I get rich. Deal. I'll just take your friends with me back to the lodge now, Garion said. We'll wait for you there. Iridian whistled and the dog jumped off Percy and onto Annabeth's lap, which made her yelp. Percy knew Tyson and Grover would never try anything as long as Annabeth was a hostage. Percy locked eyes with her. I hope you know what you're doing, she said quietly. I hope so too. Remember, by sunset, Garion reminded him. No later. Percy lost hope when he saw the horse's teeth. One stallion whinnied angrily at him, with his teeth showing, which were pointed like a bear's. Percy tried talking to him in his mind like he did with most horses. Hi, he told them. I'm going to clean your stables. Doesn't that sound great? Yes, the horse said in his mind. Come inside so we can eat you, tasty half-blood. But I'm Poseidon's son, he protested. He created horses. Yes, the horse agreed enthusiastically. Poseidon could come in too. More the merrier. We always wanted to taste seafood. Seafood, said the other horse. Percy was really starting to regret this decision. Why he believed he could do this challenge was mainly because he remembered how Hercules had done it. He had washed out the manure by channeling a river into them. Being a son of Poseidon and being able to control water, Percy figured it could be twice as easy. But there was one problem. The river was downhill from the stables. The problem with the manure was that it looked a lot bigger up close. He picked up a rusted shovel and scooped some away, which didn't really make any difference. Great, he told himself. Only 4 billion scoops to go.